Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from in the world. Welcome to our Open Up live talk show. My name is RJ Horner, and I'm the host of Open Up. I'm also the vice president for Voice of Men 360. Voice of Men 360 is a not for profit organization founded in 2020 and based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born because of a tremendous need and stepping up to provide for that need to help support our boys and men to overcome their life challenges. We're part of International Men's Day, and International Men's Day has been serving for over 21 years so far, and 90 countries around the world have joined together doing various activities regularly. International Men's Day follows 6 pillars, which represent the overall well-being of boys and men, and we follow in those same footsteps here. So why is so open up so important? Because we men are not open to we're not open to share our heart and our matters with anyone. When we keep our emotional challenges within ourselves for any period of time, at some point it may tend to explode, which will affect our ill health conditions. That's why we want to create open space and allow individuals to come and share their stories through our platform. We could create awareness about life challenges, the struggles, and the ups and downs that our boys and men go through in their lives. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups with sharing their life journey. All walks of life are invited to participate. Our goal is to make a positive impact on someone's life through this program. Open Up is Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We bring individuals each week and show them and let them share their experiences with you. We would like to remind you at this time that Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with good faith towards peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not necessarily represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness to the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We're not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episodes or any of Voice of Men 360's content, please email us at info@voiceofmen360.org. Our guest today is Steve Araba. He's the coordinator at the Sault Ste. Marie and Area Local Immigration Partnership, and he's a founder of Men's Table Group. He has a bachelor degree in computer information systems, a master's degree in public management, and working towards his doctorate in business administration with a project management professional designation. He's a teacher at Sault College and Algoma University, and he's a passion for startups, business, and community development. He founded several initiatives focused on youth entrepreneurship development and research. He's a self-published author of the book Better Than Harvard, Learning Backwards, and also published a research paper on entrepreneurial education focused on grassroots development. Please welcome Steve Araba to Open Up. Thank you for joining us and being willing to share your life journey with us this week.
Thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful. Always great to get great expertise and great authority in men's work. Let me go back to the beginning. Tell me about your youth or your childhood. What inspiration did you have back then that led you to become this person you are now?
So, well, it's I think it's a general story for a lot of young boys where you grow up in a family where it's either you don't grow up with your dad or they're mostly absent because they are working all the time. And of course, growing up in Africa, there's some schools of thought that the man goes out to work and provide for the family. It's the woman that does the raising of the children. So in my own case, uh, my mom and my dad split when I was very young. So I didn't quite remember living with a father in the home. And through an interesting turn of events, my mother had to travel to another country, to work so that she could send money to Nigeria, exchange rate so that we could go to school, fend for ourselves and stuff like that. So there was that point in my life where I was living with just siblings, no father figure. And eventually we grew up to identify some individuals who could play some kind of fatherly roles. And but generally, I can't particularly say that there was this one person who was like father figure. So that was missing all my life, basically, which meant most of the things that I tried to do, most of the things that I did very well are trial and errors, and of course, I think the one good thing that did make a difference was the fact that my mom made sure we were grounded in faith, we were Christians, and so that formed a lot of the bedrock of what I believed, and so whatever my moral compass was hinged around that. And but I still saw that, you know, regardless of how much faith you have in God, there's still some things God wouldn't do for you. There are basic leadership examples that you need to have, that you can see, that you can model after. And I pretty much didn't have that, because even my elder sibling was just about 10 years older. So as at the time my mom traveled, left for another country, and she was there for about 19, 20 years. So she wasn't even there while we were growing up. It the So the elder sibling was, I think he was just about 16 when my mom had to travel. She thought she was going to be there for 6 months, but then life happened. So so he was 16 trying to play father. He was still going through the teenage years, and I thinking back, I could see how he struggled, to be that example, trying to follow the instructions my mom left to say, what, don't do this, don't do that. And most of the things that we could remember to do was, we knew what not to be, because in my dad, as at then, we saw a lot of things that we didn't want to model after, things that we had heard, things that we had seen. And so we just tried to not be that. And we, we hoped we would turn out right. So that not having an example is something that I've seen has destroyed a lot of men. It destroys their voice, it destroys their confidence, it destroys their the personal concept of individuality, of decision, and a lot of that. And so that's, thinking through that and having been able to kind of manage my life, I thought, if everybody just had somebody to talk to, somebody to guide them, then it'll make life a lot easier. And that's how Men's Table started.
That's a wonderful inspiration. You've taken us a long journey on that. You said your brother had to kind of step up at the age of 16, be the man of the house, and kind of raise you guys to up at that point. Your mom was also gone. How
Yes.
did and so did you have other female relatives or siblings that were able to fill in that role, or
No,
keep
not
that bond?
necessarily.
So it was just brothers.
Oh, well, I have a sister who is just a year older than me. So,
She wasn't much help.
um, yeah, she was a kid too, but I mean, in thinking about her, she did step up a lot, because I mean, in Africa, usually you'd have the women cooking and doing stuff like that. I mean, she cooked, she cleaned, she did the most that, a girl her age could do, and as she matured, she was able to do a lot more. So, but I wouldn't say there was any motherly figure, because somehow, even though remotely, my mom was still very, very efficient. If she got on the phone and scolded you about something, that night you couldn't sleep. It was
It was
really,
like she
really
was right
like
there with
fun.
you.
Yeah.
That's
So we
wonderful.
didn't, yeah, so we didn't need another female. We had
Boss.
enough. We had enough.
But I'm sure you also might maybe picked up some because again, you know what, there are certain things, not that we expect these things from women, that they'll cook and clean and take care of us in this manner, but we would do less without them. Let's face it, some roles they take too naturally, and maybe you were able to pick up some inspiration from your sister in that manner. Would it not be possible?
Oh yeah, my sister is a very strong person. I mean, even though we were both young, but she was a leader to for me, personally, because as teenagers, so my brothers, sometimes they would be uh, with their friends or maybe to some church activity. Sometimes my sister and I were just together. She was a very, very good leader for someone like me. And I think a lot of the way that I think and process my ideas, uh, they did evolve through the conversations that we had. And sometimes she would play the scolding role. She was just a year older than me, but I mean, she was strong. She had the very good leadership qualities that I believe that really did impact on me. And sometimes when I'm trying to make a decision, even now, I can see her eyes looking at me to say, Steve, you're about to mess up. So don't do that. And I believe that, she has a lot of love. She's very caring. She's very dedicated to family. And so that formed a lot of the way that I imagine my wife would be, or any woman that I would really want to have around me, because I believe that helped me form the person I am today. Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Absolutely. You also mentioned, or again, sorry, your father. You were out without your father for a lot of your youth. Was that by design, or how long was your father in your life or available to you at that point?
So like I said, I, I maybe I can remember one or two times that I saw him, with my mom in the same building with me. Um, when I was growing up, and I think my memories date back to maybe around age 2.5, and that's when I can remember. Every other time, maybe it was he just showed up, to visit for some reason, and it was usually for about maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, and he was done. So my interactions with my father wasn't um, until maybe I was well in my 30s, and so maybe at some point he's going somewhere. He wanted me or one of my brothers to join him, maybe to take a look at some property, because really, as age progresses, most men understand what is more important in life. So I think when he got to that point, he had retired from his active force. He's a retired policeman. And so I think he began to see things in a better light, because he already had a different family apart from us. And so around those times, he tried to, visit. He tried to have conversations, but the man, the man in me had been formed already. So
Sure.
everything he's saying was just, "Yeah, I hear you." And of course, you would learn from somebody who has made a lot of mistakes too. So some of those things were valuable, but uh, I think late. That's it.
Sure. No, thank you for that. Again, we want to know what kind of impression our fathers leave on us, as maybe we need to draw a fact to their whether they've done damage or not. There's repercussions in decisions that our fathers make on our behalf.
Yeah.
So thank you for that conversation. So what? Let's talk about men's group. You created or men's table. Sorry, you created this men's table. Why do you want to start that group in the first place, other than the fact that, again, men are lacking? There's no doubt we're lacking. We need help and guidance in many areas. But
Yeah.
what led you to start that?
So starting men's table for me evolved from different conversations I'd had uh, with younger guys, teenagers, preteens, and early 20s. And I realized that we all had the same issue. We all had the same questions. The only difference was some of us have been able to answer them through time, or we've allowed the society to give us answers. And so usually the way my life is designed, if I learned something, and maybe I learned it a little bit too late, I try to teach it to somebody a little earlier than they would have learned it, given the circumstances they're growing up in. So if I learned to do business at 30, I'm teaching it to somebody at 15, 17, 18, so that by the time they have all their failures, I mean, they're still maybe they're still in their 20s, in order to be able to do something good. So that's been the way I have been. And when I learned public speaking, it was the same thing. I started a competition of sorts to help people learn how to do public speaking, coach them, and at least compete for some kind of reward that will make them prepare for it. So it was at, a lot of young men gravitated towards me. And as much as they looked up to me, I realized that I still had my own issues. And unfortunately, as at that point in my life, I was thinking, oh, I need to get all my issues right before I start answering questions for others. And then I saw that, you know what, the truth is, I'm never going to be perfect. So and the truth is, I have answers in other areas that people are struggling with. So while I look for my own answers, I can help provide answers to other people for the ones that I already have. And that's how it started. So we would have conversations on finances, relationships, sexuality, sex, relationships, having a family, what to look for in your spouse or what to look for in a girlfriend if you must have one, and all of that. So it's just basically translating some of the answers that I have or that I've been able to get in my own personal lives into the younger generation.
Oh, wow. What an inspiration. Thank you very much. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank
We need more of that around. We need more of that out there. Open Up is a great, valuable resource that's doing a lot of good work in the same way. But having the conversations and being able to have that exchange of information,
Yes,
um, I think that can be so valuable to our youth. No.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, other than that, give us more examples, if you could, of some of the work that Men's Table does. What are some of the projects you're working on?
So we before I moved to Canada, because I'm in Canada now, I was living in Nigeria, and that was where it started. We used to have a lot of seminars periodically, and we do have an online presence where we have uh, over 15,000 people following on Facebook. Recently, we started a clubhouse on the Clubhouse platform to have weekly conversations around the issues that impact on men, and sometimes we just come and we don't have a topic. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And people just come up with their own questions, and everybody um, everybody within the team, finds a way to help answer that question in the best, most wholesome way that we can. And of course, people are sharing their experiences. And even here in Canada, we've had a few webinars. We started one on I think in February, the Black History Month, when we discussed fathers, Black men, and fatherhood, and we looked at different aspects of it to say, well, Black families are losing their fathers either to life or to death, or, when I say to life, it means circumstances. They are either in jail, or they're too busy to even be present in the family, or there's a problem between the husband and the wife. So, and usually it's the man that maybe there's a court order that has to make the men stay away from their kids. So, how do we handle stuff like that? How do we create a community that still supports children whose fathers want to be there, but they just can't? How do we ensure that we create a more wholesome community for Black families? So we do have some of those webinars, seminars, and conversations on Clubhouse.
That's wonderful. What an inspiration. Thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
And now, so can you maybe share some experiences that you've witnessed people go through that you've worked with, and maybe how did they overcome them? Could you maybe share one or two experiences with us?
Um, I think usually it's usually around families that do not have father figures, and
That's
so
really your chief work.
yeah, so most of them they deal with the effects of not having a father in the home, and sometimes because they are very vulnerable, they get haunted on by maybe predators, societal predators. And even though, some of them get abused or traumatized by some things that is beginning to now affect their entire lives. So how do they work from there? So usually we try to have that conversation first, because if they're not willing to talk about it, then it will be impossible to reach them where they are. Now, of course, these conversations, they're not based on psychological science. They're just me sharing something similar that I think I've gone through that you may be going through. And usually that enables most of them to open up. And once they do, they're able to find better help. Then we know who to direct them to, maybe a more professional institution that's going to help out, or just things like that. That's the way they usually are. And most of the time that if I'm the one having the conversation, I usually always use my life as an experience, whether it is in the area of money or academics. Some are struggling with their academics. I've had my fair share of that one. And so being that example they can readily see always helps. And I'm able to also say, well, I'm still dealing with this issue. So if you think I'm a superhuman, I still have something, that I don't like, that you probably would recognize that is is also not good. So we're all just taking a journey, to that
Right.
perfection, basically.
None of us are perfect. All of us are just trying to do better. As long as we can respect each other as individuals that way, I think we can do valuable work for each other. Now,
Absolutely.
let's say like you didn't have experience in that, personal experience in that area that this person was talking about. Is there chances somebody else at the table might have that experience, or has there ever been a chance that somebody didn't have something to add to this person, or they didn't walk away with a resolve?
Oh, so yeah, we do have patrons apart from the team members. We do have patrons who are, they're well in their 60s, 50s, those who have had more life experiences and are willing to share. Now, the way we picked our patrons is well, it's also part of how I grew up, identifying these people as people who have gone through their own issues and have found ways to make a success of their lives. So they are also part of this group that if we, or maybe I can't answer a particular question, I would do to the point I could and then refer. So that because the patrons are they're more much older and probably don't have as much time as I do. So you solve the problem halfway and transfer the rest to them. And they have always been very open, to meet with these young men to answer their questions. And oftentimes they show up for our seminars, and they're there to answer questions and mentor a lot of these young men, even as we keep following up with them.
How long have you been at this? This got to take some time to put together. How long have you been doing this work?
Doing the work officially as Men's Table is just about 6 years, but it's been pretty much, the definition of my life ever since maybe at least 12 years now, you know, um, because I'd been doing it with, one-on-one with younger men at different points. I was just at the point where I thought, you know what, I can keep talking to individuals every time. So why don't we set up something formal, and then make sure that a lot more people can gather in one place at once, and then after you have had that full conversation at once, they will just have questions instead of having to narrate my life all over again to different individuals. So
Got you. Wonderful. Look, again, I thank you for the work you do. I hope you can spread this around some more, because it sounds like it's a valuable tool that our men could use. Again, anything to get them to open up and start sharing their experiences um, with others for their benefit, but also for their own benefit by being able to open up is beneficial.
yes, absolutely.
So I applaud you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Um, so now you've had a lot of experience in mentorship. So, in your advice, what would you tell to young men to help empower their lives?
What I always tell young men is you don't have to get everything right at once.
Mm,
You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to be human. Because in the societies in the societies we live in, generally speaking, most people expect men to just be, stone walls that don't crack. But unfortunately, I think we underestimate the power of being emotional, even as men. Our emotions can actually help us to live much wholesome lives, if we know how to use this thing. Uh, but unfortunately, the only thing we're allowed to express as men are just anger and some kind of violent emotional outbursts. But there are still so many other emotional expressions that we can have that would help us. But essentially, you are allowed to fail if that is the path you are on right now. You're allowed to fail, but don't stay there. One of the hallmarks of being a man is being able to make progress. You don't have to be perfect every time. You don't have to be perfect the first time. Just measure progress. So if what you have as a problem is maybe addiction to smoking, and you used to smoke 3 packets of cigarette, if you smoke two, you have made progress, although the world may not see it just because, oh, you're still smoking and that's what they see. But you make progress and eventually you're just going to be there. You're going to get there. So you don't have to get it all right the first time. That's what I always say to young people.
Wonderful advice. Thank you. Then what can we as a society do to help our boys and men through that journey?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I understand, from myself and the experiences that have been shared with me is every every man, you know, every man wants to feel a part of a community. They want to feel a part of a team or a part of a system. And oftentimes, if they don't get it within their families, if their fathers are not there or they don't have older brothers who can form that clique for them, they will definitely look for it elsewhere. And if they look for it elsewhere, the natural tendency for men to want to feel a part of something would make them do whatever that team is doing. And that's why a lot of teenagers will go into smoking and drinking and whatever vices they get into, because they want to feel. It's not always because they're terrible or because they're bad. It's just because they don't want to lose, the value of being a part of a team. And that usually is what leads them into every other thing they do, whether it's for good or for bad. And so for a lot of the young men out there, I think what we can do for them is when we realize that they are alone or they are lonely or they're in some points in their lives where they feel very vulnerable, those of us who have some of the answers should step in and help, because we never know what they're dealing with. And until we let them know that we understand where they are by sharing our own personal experiences, by letting them know they're not alone, because nobody wants to be alone. Nobody wants to feel like the struggles they're going through is only unique to them. But unfortunately, that's the way our psyches, our minds are wired to think we're alone in the things that we're going through. So we need to let them know they're not alone, and reach out. Just reach out. But it doesn't cost anything to reach out to to the younger generation and make sure they don't feel alone. And
Right.
that way, they're going to measure better successes with their lives than anything else.
Absolutely. And I think that's some great wisdom. And I think whether we have the knowledge or not, just stepping up and helping somebody, being available to them, makes a difference, So if that's all you can offer, don't hesitate to be there for somebody, right?
Yes, that's true.
So,
I agree.
Steve, thank you for joining us and sharing your life journey with us today. I appreciate your willingness and courage to come out and share your life journey, your life struggles and challenges. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. As many Canadians know, our Indigenous communities are in big crisis right now, and they need our help and support. Voice of Men 360 is stepping up and have started donation drive for Indigenous families. If you have any used clothing, dry foods, or any other goods that may be useful, please let us know. we're coordinating to collect them. You can call us at 416-356-7414 or 437-889-8329. So those numbers again are 416-356-7414 or 437-889-8329. Those are our phone numbers. Or you can email us at info@voiceofmen360.org or contact us through Facebook Messenger. Again, we'll coordinate with you to pick up those goods. Voice of Men 360 is going to be hosting our first meet and greet. We're excited about this. This is going to be Saturday, August 28th from 11 to 3 p.m. In North York at Earl Bales Park. That's Bathurst and Shepherd area. Please come out and join us Saturday, August 28th. Of course, again, please feel free to bring out anything for our clothing drive to that meet and greet. And then we have our live shows. Open Up, you just participated in, is Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please like and join us for that, for people sharing their personal life journeys like Steve did today. We have Vili, which is a live Tamil language talk show. That takes place Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And then we have a monthly webinar the first Saturday of every month at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring the expertise of organizations and discuss a particular topic each month. We also have a monthly special show called The Unspoken Tears. That's the second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where the focus is domestic violence against men. We're also co-hosting a program called the South Asia Men Show. This is with us, coordinated with Voice of Men 360 and the All Bengal Men's Forum. And this is, again, specifically on topics that face South Asian men. And then we turn all of our content into podcast episodes, so please look for us on your favorite content, iPhone, Google Play, Spotify, and more. And then we also have monthly support groups. We have a men's support group the third Tuesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The next one will be Tuesday, August 17th. So please come and join us again, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we have an Indigenous peer-to-peer support group that's called Pass the Talking Stick. That's the fourth Friday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. through Zoom. This one will be Friday, August 27th at 6 p.m. again through Zoom. So please register and join us for that. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life are invited to participate in any of our shows. If you want to be a guest on any of our programs or willing to participate or be a part of our organization or work with us directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We'd love to work with individuals, professionals, experts, organizations, associations, government officials, NGOs, and more. You can reach out to us. Our phone number again is 437-889-8329. Our email address is info@voiceofmen360.org, which makes our website www.voiceofmen360.org. You can follow us on all of your social media platforms: Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and more. Facebook, of course, facebook.com/groups/voiceofmen360. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube for more to come from Voice of Men 360 and Open Up. We want to reach out to more people and help as many people as we can. And please continue your support. Thank you. Until next time, I'm RJ Horner, Vice President for Voice of Men 360, asking you to open up.